Hi, my name is Mackenzie Hyatt, and this is my final for Heritage Tourism. So basically, I'm just going to be talking to you about what I learned in the class, what I feel like heritage is, and how it's going to impact me from now on. So the first thing that I have to answer is, what is heritage? The word heritage is inspired by the French concept of inheritance. Basically, it means legacy. The tangible definition of heritage is that which has been or may be inherited, while the intangible definition is circumstances or benefits passed down from previous generations. And in this class, we learned a lot about tangibles and intangibles, and basically, tangible is something that is physical and can be touched, and intangible is more of like a concept or idea and more feelings based rather than physical. In the early weeks of our class, we discussed new interpretations of heritage. We learned that it is a version of the past received through objects and display, representations and engagements, spectacular locations and events, memories and commemorations, and the preparations of places for cultural purposes and consumption. It has been stated that it is defined through language, but also rooted in tangible places, objects, and people. Next, I have to discuss what the role of heritage is within tourism. And so basically, there are many reasons for an individual to travel, whether it be for fun or relaxation, and one of these reasons actually is heritage. The definition of heritage tourism is travelers seeing or experiencing built heritage, living culture, or contemporary art. Heritage tourism is motivated by wanting to be more in touch with your culture, to learn, to build stronger family bonds, or to put an end to one's own curiosity. Next, I'm going to discuss two topics that stood out to me in this class, and those were the history of heritage and contested heritage. So I really enjoyed learning the history of heritage. Growing up, history was always my favorite subject. I was actually a history major when I first came to Clemson. However, I ended up switching into parks, recreation, and tourism management with an emphasis in travel and tourism. Due to my love for history, the history of heritage was a very interesting lecture to me. In that lecture, we learned that in the First Republic of France, there was a large formation of European nationalism in the late 1700s. During this time, there was a large increase in great works of art and architecture. There were also important figures being honored with plaques and memorials. So basically, they had a viewpoint of wanting things not just for the present, but to be passed on to future generations and be remembered in the future. Also, we learned that after World War II, there was a start of the modern notion of heritage. Due to globalization, there was a fear of many cultures losing their identity. Due to this, there was an increase in the protection of any buildings, languages, and traditions. So basically, they just increased their protection of all of these things that they felt represented them as a culture in order to protect the heritage for generations to come. Another topic that stood out to me was contested heritage. This is defined as multiple groups claiming the same past and therefore the same heritage places, yet choosing to understand their shared past differently. This stood out to me because it shows just how difficult it can be to determine legitimate heritage. An example of this would be conflict in Jerusalem. According to BBC, the United Nations voted for Palestine to be split into separate Jewish and Arab states. They would then make Jerusalem a neutral city to be shared. This was accepted by the Jewish, yet the Arabs rejected this idea, and it was never implemented. Due to contested heritage, both sides felt that they held the rights to the land, which has led to extreme conflict. Next, I'm going to discuss what contributed to my personal learning experience in the class. The first thing that came to mind when thinking of instances that contributed to my learning experience was our lecture with Professor Rhonda. Had we not had the opportunity to hear what she had to share with our class, I would have never known about the dark past of Clemson University. Coming from a student who gives this university thousands of dollars a year, it is very alarming that I, nor hundreds of students, had any clue that Clemson was built by forced laborers. I feel that this lesson did a great job at bringing a new point of view to our class. While textbook information is important, the fact that this lesson related to us on a personal level made me take in the information much easier. The second thing that contributed to my learning was our addressing the statue assignment. In this assignment, we were asked to come up with a solution to the statue placed outside of the Natural History Museum in New York City. This statue depicts Theodore Roosevelt on a horse beside a Native American man and an African man. Many individuals were horribly offended by the statue and claimed that it implied a racial hierarchy. Many other individuals claimed that it was a historical monument that needed to be left alone. This assignment showed me just how touchy the subject of heritage can be. It opened my eyes to the fact that sometimes you have to choose between honoring the heritage of a certain group and protecting the feelings of individuals in the present. While some aspects of history may be seen as culturally important, it may not be appropriate to celebrate them. Lastly, I'm going to discuss how I will transfer what I learned into my personal life. This class helped me understand how complex heritage is. When asked to think of ways to transfer ideas from this course into my life, a few ideas came to mind. The first is to look further into my own cultural background. Lately, I have gotten more involved in tracing my family tree on my maternal grandfather's side of the family. I have learned about many places that my family had its roots planted in the past, and many places that my family had important events happen. And these are areas that I could easily visit. In this class, we learn about both serious cultural tourists and casual heritage tourists. With the motivation to travel based solely on wanting to explore my heritage, I could develop into a serious cultural tourist rather than a casual cultural tourist. By being a serious cultural tourist, I will be visiting these places because I want to learn and expand as a person. This class has made me enthusiastic about my heritage, which is a qualification of a serious tourist. This class will also impact me as a professional. I am currently studying Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Management at Clemson University in hopes to be a wedding planner. As a wedding planner, I will be working with individuals from all cultures and backgrounds. With some weddings, I am sure I will have to find a way to incorporate heritage into the event. To do this, I will need to remember things I learned in the course, such as authenticity is based on the consumer's opinion, heritage is about power and identity, and also be able to understand the psychographics of my clients, such as their attitudes and behaviors, in order to better meet their needs. And then lastly, I just wanted to say thank you. I genuinely enjoyed this class, and I feel that I learned a tremendous amount of information regarding heritage and tourism. I just wanted to say thank you so much for your great semester, and